guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back and it is Friday, June 21st and it's 10:09 p.m. Yes, I am getting a later start tonight and it's because I was out of town today and got back a little bit late, and then I had a very important phone call, so I'm getting a late start, but at least I'm getting a video out tonight. So and back tomorrow we will be back on an earlier schedule, hopefully. So that is my goal anyway, and I'm hoping next week to get earlier and earlier throughout the week and just keep pushing it back to be a little bit earlier, because I know that's better for so many people. So anyway, we don't have any Q posts for today, but we do have Q related news, and I wanted to be sure to get a video done tonight because there's a lot of news. This weekend is going to be enormous. Things are going to start this weekend. Next week is going to be a huge week, huge. And apparently Sunday we've got the start of the raids. Now they're saying that they are ICE raids and they are going to begin Sunday pre-dawn. But I'm wondering if there's going to be other people picked up during that time to maybe cover the fact that these people are now being arrested. I don't know, but I'm thinking that this is a cover for the other arrests. I don't know. It could be a combination, or it could just simply be ICE. Anyway, whoever they arrest, if they're illegal aliens or if they're criminals, it's a good thing as far as I'm concerned. So let's get started here. I've got a variety of things, but they're all, I think, very important tonight. So I'll try to get to the ones that are the most important, so I'll have time to finish. All right, now this from the Washington Times: government meeting opens with Hail Satan prayer. Yes, this is the American government, the government in Alaska. Soldotna, Alaska, a satanic temple member who won the right to open a regional Alaska government meeting, declared Hail Satan during her first invocation, prompting about a dozen officials and attendees to walk out. I would have been one of them had I been there. Tuesday invocation that started the meeting of the Kenai Peninsula Borough also spurred a protest outside the Southern Alaska Borough's administration building that drew 40 people, the Peninsula Clarion newspaper reported. Protesters held signs saying, "Reject Satan and his works and know Jesus and his love." During her invocation, satanic temple member Iris Fontana said, "That which will not bend must break, and that which can be destroyed by truth should never be spared as demise. It is done. Hail Satan." Kenai radio station KSRM reported she was among the plaintiffs in the lawsuit litigated by the ACLU of Alaska against the borough after it approved a 2016 policy saying that people who wanted to give the invocations at the government's body's meeting had to belong to official organizations with an established presence on the Kenai Peninsula, which lies 75 miles or 121 kilometers, if you're from Canada, south of Anchorage. Other plaintiffs who had been denied permission to give the invocations included an atheist and a Jewish woman. Well, the Alaska Supreme Court last October ruled that the borough policy was unconstitutional, and the borough government changed it in November to allow anyone to offer invocations regardless of religion. So there you go. Hail Satan being invoked in a government, Alaska government meeting. So how do you guys feel about that? Now, I will have to say this. I do agree in religious freedom, and I think that they should have the freedom to practice Satanism as long as it doesn't harm another human being. If they're into sacrifices and so forth, of course, that is illegal, because murder is illegal under God's law and man's law as well. So, but if we forbid them from practicing, then we too can fall under that. So it's either freedom of religion for all or freedom of religion for none. And I'd rather have freedom of religion for all than not be able to practice mine. And the same thing with with Islam. It's not Islam. It's their ideology and what they want to do to us. I don't think we should. They can practice what they believe as long as it doesn't counter with any of our laws of the land. And of course, we know it does. So that's an issue. Anyway, let's get off that and go on because we have plenty more to get to. Let me see now. Let's go back, and this is, well, I would say gobsmacking, but I say that word far too much. But I really don't know what you would call this, and it just confirms everything we suspected all along. This is from the Hal Turner radio show. NYPD chief commits suicide 1 month before retiring, was directly involved in Anthony Weiner laptop computer evidence handling. So that is what we suspected. Now, of course, we already know that the chief commits suicide, and now there's 2 other in the same department that have committed suicide under suspicious circumstances that I don't believe was suicide, not even for 1 minute. And, you know, we surmised, does this have anything to do with the Anthony Weiner laptop? And of course, now we find out it does. Updates 7:08 p.m. Now, second NYPD cop missing. Okay, well, that is, and he was also involved in the laptop case. A high-ranking New York City Police Department officer has died from an allegedly self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Deputy Chief Stephen Silks was found in an unmarked patrol car wearing civilian clothes Wednesday evening, just 1 month before he would turn 63 and face mandatory retirement. He allegedly shot himself in the head with the gun reportedly discovered beside him. He was very closely and heavily involved in the investigation of the laptop seized from former Congressman Anthony Weiner, which allegedly held volumes of Hillary Clinton email evidence on it. A fellow officer told the New York Daily News that Silks was deeply committed to the job. Silks reportedly submitted his mandatory retirement papers the day before. His family lives out of state. He's not married. He absolutely lived for the NYPD, the officer said. He was admired and loved by everybody he worked with. He was aged out. He was the kind of guy who would have served until he died of natural causes. So you see here, they're trying to make it seem like, oh, he would, you know, he just lived and breathed the police department, and probably the fact that he was retiring upset him so much because it was mandatory that he killed himself. I don't believe that for a moment, because there are ways that he could have still served on a volunteer basis or what have you, and still served and the NYPD in some manner or another. I just don't for a minute buy that at all. So anyway, other sources, however, say that Deputy Chief was heavily involved in the sex crimes investigation of former Democrat Congressman Anthony Weiner, and that the chief personally oversaw the evidence gathering from a laptop computer seized from Weiner in that investigation. So naturally, if he oversaw the evidence collection, he would be called to testify, which he can now no longer be called to testify. But it's not at all surprising to me, knowing what we know about Hillary Clinton, and, you know, people around her somehow have the penchant for dying suspiciously. Anyway, ultimately the laptop had to be turned over by the New York Police Department to the FBI, which allegedly lost it. Well, isn't that convenient? Rumors have abounded for years that NYPD top brass took copies of the hard drive because they were suspicious of the feds and wanted to make certain the evidence was preserved. One high-ranking NYPD official at the time the laptop was seized told media outlets he was sickened by what was on that computer, and if the feds did not pursue the necessary investigation, he would reveal what the laptop contained. It is now believed that Deputy Chief Silks was that officer, but no one is confirming or denying that information at this time. Was Chief Silks Arkancided? The world is curious. Now, of course, we do believe that he was. Meanwhile, authorities in Arkansas say they're investigating a homicide. Human remains were found outside the home of former state Senator Linda Collins Smith, who Republican Party officials say has died. An Arkansas state police spokesman said Wednesday that her remains were found Tuesday outside the home in Pocahontas. Property records show that the home belonged to former state Senator Linda Collins Smith and her ex-husband, retired Circuit Judge Philip Smith. Police say the crime lab is still determining the cause of death, but the local rumor mill and of course, we now know that it was murdered, and there is somebody that has been arrested for her murder. But she was reportedly working with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to expose the missing $27 million from DHS Child Protective Services from Arkansas agencies. Now, do you find it any coincidence that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is going to be running as governor for Arkansas? Because I think there's a whole lot to be discovered there, and I somehow think she would get to the bottom of it with the help of the White House. So maybe that's just me, but that's what I think is going on there. So let's go on here. Now, this is from Cat Turd, and I did verify that this is so. Just in, ICE to begin pre-dawn immigration raids in 10 major U.S. cities on Sunday. Lemon water is the best. Okay, so let's go on here. And let's look at this. Dianne Feinstein dined with Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif, who coincidentally is the same Iranian John Kerry secretly meets with. Coincidence? I don't think so. 2 weeks later, Iran bombs 2 oil tankers and shoots down a U.S. drone. Anyone want to know what was discussed? There are no coincidences. No, there aren't. And I do believe, I'll tell you what I believe. I think that because, let's go to this first and then I'll comment on what I believe. So Chuck and Nancy are seen dancing after a meeting with POTUS. Everyone is wondering why. News breaks 4 hours later, a strike on Iran has been authorized, but POTUS reverses his decision at the last minute. They were dancing because they wanted to strike it. They wanted the strike knowing it would. Is this continued or not? Knowing it would damage POTUS, Trump just effed with them again, and they took the bait. Again. Think about this too. Several news outlets reported the strikes had already happened. So who leaked that information? Learn to play the game. Enjoy the show. Hashtag QAnon. And this is from Anon66. This is the first that I have heard of them, but I did go ahead and follow them because it seems like they had put out some good information. But this is interesting. They were seen dancing, and I did see the video. I did verify that, yes, they were. They were dancing, and Chuck was going, oh, yeah, like when they came out of the meeting with Trump. So what was discussed in that meeting that would make them celebratory? Well, that's a good question, right? Because there's not too much that they could discuss where Nancy and Chuck would be celebrating. They sure weren't being told about the upcoming raids because they would not be celebrating. They would be fuming mad. But instead we get, yeah, what was that? Well, seeing as 4 hours later, a strike was called on Iran, don't you think that it makes sense that they were being informed? And that they were celebrating over that fact? Then, mysteriously, it leaks to the news. Mainstream media gets on it that the strikes have already happened. And then Trump calls it off because he never intended to do it in the first place. He was seeing where the leaks are. And we know where they are. Thanks, Nancy and Chuck. Thanks a lot. You are traitors to this country. Yes, you are. Unbelievable. And Trump is so smart. I wondered what was going on about that because I just thought it was foolhardy to go in and start a war over a drone. Okay, it's a drone, but still, it's foolhardy because how do we know that Iran is the one that shot it down? How do we know that it wasn't the deep state? How do we know that, Chuck and Nancy weren't over there? I don't know. I know Kerry was. I know Obama was. very, very recently. What were they talking to Iran about? I think they were talking about this very thing. Oh, you need to, because Trump's a hothead. So if you shoot down one of the drones or something, yeah, they're going to get mad and they're going to start a war. And that's what they want, right? It's what they want. So POTUS plays along brilliantly. He says, okay, they want a war. Let's give them a war. And he brings them in and he announces, okay, we're going to go to war with Iran. I'm going to order strikes. And they run to the mainstream media so that they can get a jump on it, right? And then POTUS calls it off. Now, do you really think he called it off because his generals said, he asked his generals, well, how many people are going to die? And they said 150. And he says, no, let's not do it. You really think that? I don't. Not even for a minute. Not for a minute. But anyway, I think that he was trying to see where the leaks were coming from. And now it's very, very apparent to everyone, because where else would they have gotten that information if not from Nancy and Chuck? They wouldn't have. So there you go. How do you like that? I mean, we know that they are traitors to this country. We know that they are diabolical liars, and that they will do whatever they need to do to stay in power. They don't care about Americans. They don't care about Iranians. They don't care about anyone but themselves. They are narcissistic fools, is what they are. So let's look at this, because that didn't work, did it? Didn't work inciting him to war, did it? So let's go to here, because now this is the next trick they're trying. It's Kavanaugh on steroids, is what this is. And just like Two-Door Ford, this woman doesn't remember when the assault happened either. And she waits, how many years? 27 years or something like that to tell anybody? Yeah, right. Donald Trump sexually assaulted E. Jane Carroll in the mid-1990s, writer says in new book. And this is from today, so it is fresh off the press. The Iran thing didn't work, so immediately they start spinning another narrative. It's what they do. The writer E. Jane Carroll says in a new book that President Donald Trump sexually assaulted her in a dressing room in the Bergdorf Goodman department store in New York City in the mid-1990s. The White House strongly denied her claims, according to New York Magazine, which ran an excerpt of Carroll's book. New York Magazine noted that Carroll, 75, is at least the 16th woman to accuse Trump of sexual assault. Notice how nobody was accusing him before he became president. He's a billionaire. Don't you think these women, if it really happened, would want to get a piece of him? And don't you think they would have brought this forward long before now? Because he's been in the spotlight lots. They've had every opportunity to come forward. So why haven't they? Because it never happened. So the writer, E. Jane Carroll, says in a new book that President Donald Trump sexually assaulted her in a dressing room of the Bergdorf Goodman department store because I guess he can't afford a hotel. Gee, he needs to use a dressing room. Goodman department store in New York City in the mid-1990s, a description of the alleged attack was excerpted by New York Magazine in an article published Friday. The White House did not return CNBC's request for comment, but strongly denied Carroll's claims to New York. A senior White House official told the magazine, "This is completely false and unrealistic story surfacing 25 years. 25 years. Like, just think about it. Okay, if you were assaulted or whatever, yeah, you remember that. You remember everything about it. If you've been beaten or had something traumatic happen, you remember. But you don't wait that many years to report it, do you? And even now, she's not reporting it. She's just putting it in a book, which she's trying to sell for money. So what is her motivation? Sensationalism. She wants to sell books. 25 years, she never reported it. It's a problem, as far as I'm concerned. Trump issued a statement later Friday saying he had never met this person and claiming the account was an attempt to get publicity and sell a book. So he looks at it the same as I do. The alleged attack occurred in the fall of 1995 or the spring of 1996. Well, which was it? You don't remember? Probably because it never happened. Because anyone in their right mind that, because 1995, it wasn't the Dark Ages. I think, if she had come forward and let somebody know. According to Carol, at the time, Trump was married to his second wife, Marla Maples. I try to push him off with my one free hand. For some reason, I keep holding my purse with the other, and I finally get a knee up high enough to push him out and off, and I turn, open the door, and run out of the dressing room, Carol writes. The article is entitled, Hideous Men, Donald Trump Assaulted Me in a Bergdorf Goodman Dressing Room 23 years ago. But he's not alone on the list of awful men in my life. The article details several other alleged sexual assaults and unwanted advances that Carol says she has suffered since she was a child. It includes an account from former CBS CEO Les Moonves after an interview with Carol, aggressively groping her in an elevator before she is able to get away from him. Moonves stepped down from the media giant in September after several women accused him of sexual misconduct, which he denied. Moonves emphatically denies Carol's claims, according to New York Magazine. The publication noted that Carol, 75, is at least the 16th woman to accuse Trump of sexual misconduct. Her forthcoming book is entitled, What Do We Need Men For? A Modest Proposal. Well, she's obviously a rabid feminist, and because anybody that says, what do we need men for, or the new catchphrase, the future is female. Well, good luck with that. Have you ever worked with a female? Let me tell you, I've been a female boss. I've had people under me. I've had a lot of people under me in jobs, and I tried to be the best boss that I could be. But I'll tell you one thing: I don't like working for female bosses. I would far prefer to have a man to work for, really, because I just have not had good luck with women. Not as bosses. Not as bosses. And I'm not saying that there aren't good women bosses out there. There are. I just haven't come across any in my personal experience. Not saying they don't exist. Anyway, the future is not female, just like the future is not male. We are together, male and female, and that is the way it's meant to be. I'm automatically attracted to beautiful women. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything, Trump said on the recording. Grab them by the pussy. Carol wrote that she never reported the incident with Trump to the police, despite one of the two friends at the time begging her to go to law enforcement. Both friends confirmed to New York Magazine that they still remember her telling them about Trump's actions, the publication reported. Carol wrote that she had never before gone public with her account of Trump because I am a coward and because she wanted to avoid death threats, being driven from my home, being dismissed, being dragged through the mud, and joining the 15 women who've come forward with credible stories about how the man grabbed, badgered, belittled, mauled, molested, and assaulted them, only to see the man turn it around, deny, threaten, and attack them. Well, you've got people like Stormy Daniels. Let me do that again. Okay, everybody now. Everybody, collective eye roll. It's coming right up now. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I feel better. I feel so much better. Yeah, she now admits, oh yeah, he never raped me. Or we never had sex. We never had sex. Blatant lies. Carol, but after, we'll get to that. We'll see her coming up I guess I covered that yesterday, that she was present during the snuff films at the Nexium Mixer. Carol, who authorized a biography of gonzo journalist Hunter S. Thompson and is currently an advice columnist at Elle magazine, wrote she ran into Trump one day when he was leaving Bergdorf's, and he recognized her, saying, "Hey, you're that advice lady." She responded, "Hey, you're that real estate tycoon." She writes that Trump said, "Come advise me. I gotta buy a present for another woman." Carol said Trump asked her opinion about several items in the upscale. Now, I do believe that. I do believe that. That part I could see. Carol said Trump asked her opinion about several items in the upscale store on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, across the street from Trump Tower, before asking her to try on a lacy see-through bodysuit of lilac gray. After she laughed him off, suggesting that Trump try on the bodysuit, he took her arm and said, "Come on, let's put this on," she wrote. Carol wrote that she was staggered by my stupidity in allowing herself to go to the dressing room with Trump. As we head to the dressing room, I'm laughing aloud and saying in my mind, "I'm going to make him put this thing on over his pants," Carol wrote. She wrote that Trump lunges at me the moment the dressing room door closes and pushed her against the wall and putting her mouth on her. "I am so shocked that I drove him back and started laughing again," Carol wrote. "He seized both my arms and pushes me against the wall a second time, and as I become aware of how large he is, he holds me against the wall with his shoulder and jams his hand under my coat dress and pulls down my tights. I'm astonished by what I am about to write. I keep laughing. The next moment, still wearing correct business attire, shirt, tie, suit, jacket, overcoat, he opens the overcoat, unzips his pants, and forcing his fingers around my private area, thrusts his penis halfway or completely, I'm not certain, inside of me," she wrote. I have a hard time believing that he would do that in a dressing room, seeing as everybody knows who he is. I don't know, having a problem with that. But she said the entire episode in the dressing room lasted no longer than 3 minutes. Carol wrote that the Donna Karan coat dress that she was wearing during the alleged assault has remained in her closet, unworn and unlaundered since that evening. Well then, if it's been unworn and unlaundered, then perhaps we would find Donald Trump's DNA on it. Why hasn't it been tested? Just saying. "I never had sex with anybody again," she wrote. Well, that's a little bit extreme, don't you think? Since 1 in 3 women have been sexually assaulted in their lifetime, if every single woman never had sex again because they were assaulted, then I think we'd be facing underpopulation, not overpopulation. I'm just saying. All right, I think when I drank that, a little piece of lemon popped up and onto my glasses. Imagine that. That lemon's getting fresh with me. Okay, I'm gonna report it for sexual assault. Now my glasses are all blurry, but all right, I don't care. On with the show. Okay, let's go. Yeah, she never had sex with anybody again, she wrote. Carol wrote that when she told 2 close friends about the alleged attack, one of them, a journalist, urged her to contact police. Carol wrote, "He raped you. He kept repeating when I called her, he raped you. Go to the police. I'll go with you. We'll go together." But the other friend, who is a New York anchorwoman, grew very quiet when I told her, "Tell no one. Forget it. He has 200 lawyers. He'll bury you," the woman told Carol, according to the article. So, I don't know. You can believe this or not. I do believe probably there was an incident of some sort. I don't know whether he sexually assaulted her or not, but apparently she never had sex again. So it couldn't have been too good. She obviously, I don't know. I don't know what the issue is, to tell you the truth, but my glasses look better, and that's what I care about at this particular moment. I have a hard time with all these women that just kind of pop up out of nowhere with all these stories. You know, I know that men do that, and you know, any woman that works in retail or has worked in retail knows that men will come in and say, "Okay, I need something for my girlfriend, or I need something for my wife, and she's about your size. What would you suggest?" That happens all the time, and I've seen men, you know, around Christmas time, you know, they're shopping and they'll ask me, "Hey, I'm thinking of getting this for my wife. You know, you're a woman. What do you think? Would you want to receive this gift?" A lot of them do that. I don't think anything of it. I don't think that they're coming on to me or anything else. I just, you know, give them advice and let them go on their way. A lot of men are shopping impaired. They need a little womanly advice. What's wrong with that? Nothing. So I don't know if it was that case or if something more untoward happened. I don't know. But I feel it is suspicious, to say the least, considering that it's coming right on the tail of Iran. Yeah. So anyway, and sometimes you have to look at things like that, like, gee, what would this person gain? Well, book sales and also publicity for her book. And, Trump, of course, it gives the mainstream media, they're going to jump on it because it gives them a way to turn the narrative. All right. Now, this from Greg Abbott from Texas, and he is the governor of Texas, and he said, I just deployed 1,000 National Guard troops to the border. This is needed because more than 45,000 people were apprehended crossing our border illegally in the last 3 weeks. They come from 52 different countries. Congress must do its job and fund border security. Now, I do think that this is a good man, and in talking to my friend from Houston, she agrees with that and says that he is a very good man for Texas and is doing and wants to do the right thing. Obviously, he is a patriot. Now, this is about the ICE pre-dawn immigration raids, which I think concerns us all. Look, these 2 vegetables will kill your belly fat overnight. Well, there you go. Just have these 2 vegetables and overnight you'll look like a model. Okay, just in, ICE to begin pre-dawn immigration raids in 10 major U.S. cities on Sunday. Just like our friend Cat Turd said, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, is set to begin raids with court-ordered removals in 10 cities beginning Sunday. President Trump said on Monday evening in a pair of tweets that ICE will begin the process of removing millions illegal aliens who have illicitly entered the U.S. According to reports by CNN and Washington Post, the raids will begin Sunday. ICE agents will likely execute pre-dawn raids starting Sunday, targeting as many as 2,000 migrant families facing deportation orders in as many as 10 U.S. cities, including Houston, Chicago, Miami, and Los Angeles, reported the Washington Post. Now, I would ask that if you are in any of these cities, Houston, Chicago, Miami, or Los Angeles, if you notice anything, please let us know in the comments below, or I will be back tomorrow night. And if you notice anything happening in your cities, please comment and let us know, because we are the news now. You are the eyes and ears, and there's, we're all spread out. The listeners of this program are spread out everywhere. There are listeners overseas, but really, especially all over the States. And, some Canadian listeners as well, I'm finding, which is nice. So Canadians, there are some Canadians that are waking up as well, which is lovely to see. Just absolutely encouraging. But please let us know, because you are our eyes and ears. And, that way we can report things that we know, because there are people passing this along. The agency is planning to use hotel rooms as temporary staging areas to detain parents and children until all the members of the family are together and ready for deportation, reported the Washington Post. So this is good news. If they're here illegally and they're breaking the law, then I agree. They should be deported, but I think they are doing it the right way. They're making sure all the family members are together and then deporting them, because I think that it would be cruel done any other way. If you're here illegally, then you should be removed, acting head of ICE Mark Morgan told reporters Wednesday during a call. And in this case, that includes families. Field agents at local field offices are receiving briefings and trainings, according to a senior immigration official, reported CNN. Due to law enforcement sensitivities and the safety and security of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement personnel, the agency did not offer specific details related to ongoing enforcement operations before the conclusion of those actions, ICE said in a statement Friday. Well, now that the illegals have been tipped off, they will likely flee to another hiding spot. Well, I don't know about that. And to tell you the truth, I'm not even sure if they're just or only targeting illegals, because it could be that there are some of those sealed indictments that are going to be picked up, those people who have sealed indictments on them. I don't know. We will have to wait and see, but it's going to be an eventful weekend, I do believe. Now, let's go back, because there is things that I want to make sure that I cover. Yeah, well, look at this from the Pope. Yeah. You know, if they carved little images of the Pope into soap, you could have Pope on a rope. Well, you could. I'm just saying. The Pope calls for new Catholic theological curriculum teaching students to view Muslims as brothers. Brothers. Well, usually it's brothers in Christ. They are brothers in that we are all part of the human race, but are they our brothers spiritually? No, they're not. Pope calls on faithful to be as blind to real life dangers as he is. This guy is a continued clown show. When he's not pushing global warming and open borders, he's pushing partnership and brotherhood with Islam, God save your church. And of course, they call that the blending of Christianity with Islam. They call that Christlam. And that is becoming a reality in many churches, in many Christian churches in America. And many of the ones that you see in the big name churches are subscribed to that, even if they don't openly admit it. Sammy is in my purse. Like when I say in my purse, I mean in my purse. Yes, he is. He's looking for earbuds and he's not finding them because I hid them on him. See? Huh? Okay. So anyway, Pope Francis called Friday for a reform of the way theology is taught in Catholic schools, saying students must learn about dialogue with Judaism and Islam, and that overall there must be greater freedom in theological research and academic pursuits. The Jesuit Pope made the call during a speech at the Jesuit-run Theology University in Naples. It follows his outreach this year to the Muslim world with the singing of a joint statement with the Imam of Cairo's Al-Azhar, the seat of Sunni learning, establishing the relationship between Catholics and Muslims as brothers with a common mission to promote peace. Yeah, well, I have to tell you that Jesus didn't come to establish peace, but a sword, because he set child against father and members of their own household, because some followed Christ and some didn't. And, you know, all this push about peace, that will be the platform on which the Antichrist arises. In his speech, Francis said dialogue. Now, Sammy has his head stuck in a big jug. Yes, he does. There's something not right about that cat, really. Seriously. Okay, the Jesuit Pope made a call. I already read that. In his speech, Francis said dialogue and partnership with Muslim world is necessary to build a peaceful existence, even when there are troublesome episodes by fanatic enemies of dialogue. Catholic theology students must learn the culture, language, and way of thinking of Jews and Muslims to better understand and live out our relationship, he said, after the theologically doctrinaire papacies of St. John Paul II and Pope Benedict the 16th. Yes. Francis has stressed instead the need to walk together with interfaith partners, often joking that theologians should ruminate on a deserted island while religious leaders press ahead with dialogue on the ground. He has also called for a more pastoral, merciful, and conscience-driven approach to sticky theological problems, such as communion for the civilly remarried. So there you go. Let's go on here. Sammy, you worry me. You really, really worry me. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, let's see. Well, this is important. Yes, it is. It is. Okay. Special prosecutor will be appointed to investigate the Smollett case. New charges possible. I think this is good news for all of us, don't you think? The former Empire star might not be off the hook after all. And why should he be? Look at him crying there because, you know, the bad Trump people attacked him, put a noose around his neck. Bad Trump people. Orange man bad. Orange man very bad. In the latest twist in a bizarre Chicago hate crime investigation, a judge has ordered the appointment of a special prosecutor to investigate actor Jussie Smollett, and it is possible that he could once again face criminal charges. Woohoo! Yeah, that was my excited. The special prosecutor may further prosecute Smollett if they have reasonable grounds to believe that any other criminal offense was committed. Special prosecutor may commence the prosecution of any crime as may be suspected. The Chicago Tribune's Megan Crepeau, I don't know, reported from inside the courtroom. Adherence to longstanding principles discussed herein mandates that a special prosecutor be appointed to conduct an independent investigation of the actions. I have to make sure that the little someone isn't chewing the cords, because that, and now he's looking at me just over the camera, but just off of where you can see him, so you probably think I'm making this up, but I'm not. All right. Let's see, here's his tail right here. Well, I still don't think you can see that, but okay. Anyway, adherence to longstanding principles discussed here. No, you're chewing, aren't you? I know you are. You know what? Well, I'm going to read it anyway. Adherence to longstanding principles discussed herein mandates that a special prosecutor be appointed to conduct an independent investigation of the actions of any person or office involved in all aspects of the case. Entitled The People of the State of Illinois versus Jussie Smollett, number 19, CR 0310401, and if reasonable grounds exist to further prosecute Smollett in the interest of justice, the special prosecutor may take such action as may be appropriate to effectuate that result. Additionally, in the event that the investigation establishes reasonable grounds to believe that any other criminal offense was committed in the course of the Smollett matter, the special prosecutor may commence the prosecution of any crime as may be suspected. Although, okay, sorry, I'm probably brushing up again. Sorry, really, I am. But I just had to be sure. He's licking his paws. He's cleaning himself. He's not chewing through my cords like the maniac that he is. Okay, although disqualifications of the duly elected state attorney necessarily implicates constitutional concerns, the unprecedented irregularities identified in this case warrants the appointment of independent counsel to restore the public's confidence in the integrity of our criminal justice system. Now, okay, it's just his foot moving the cord. It's not his little mouth chewing through it. All right, let's go on now, and I will attempt not to be distracted by the cat. However, let me just answer a couple people that said, well, why don't you just lock him in a different room while you're recording? You don't know Sammy. Oh my gosh, lock him in another room. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, you just keep believing that I could do that. Right. Yeah. He would be howling like a maniac. He would be climbing the walls. He would be swinging from the light fixture. Yeah, putting him in another room and closing the door is not an option. All right, let's move on now. Because really, I would have thought of that. Okay, let's just go on here. Now, I am going to leave this till tomorrow, but I do want to get to this. And my friend Heather from Houston sent this in, and I thought it was very interesting. Big rat falls from ceiling at Buffalo Wild Wings, lands on menu. And where do you think this happened? Yeah, you got it. Los Angeles. This would make anyone lose their appetite. Customers dining at a Buffalo Wild Wings restaurant in the Westchester area of Los Angeles got a big furry surprise when a large live rat fell from the ceiling and onto the table. Well, it doesn't look too alive to me, so who was the lucky person that got to kill it? I don't know. But, ew. Yeah, poor rat. Probably wasn't expecting that. Probably was just looking for a meal, you know, like all the other rats. And there's a lot of them. In fact, there is the resurgence of the bubonic plague. Yes, there is. Check it out if you don't believe me. I know it sounds out there, but there is. So, yeah, yummy. So I had to take this is from this person. She is tweeting this, or maybe she put it on Facebook, I guess. So I had to take a picture in front of the BWW, Buffalo Wild Wings, and their A rating notice 310 area code to let you know, yes, I'm in Los Angeles, and a rat absolutely fell from the ceiling. I'm cute, though, but not a great welcome, Los Angeles. And update, there was no bill. Headed to Fashion District. Great win, Team USA. Yeah, well, glad that there was no bill. Yeah. That's a huge freaking rat. Huge. Alicia Norman was getting ready to order when she says she heard something crawling around above her. Moments later, the rat came falling down like a Mack truck, landing on top of a menu at the table next to her. Norman, who was there on vacation from Texas, tells Fox 35 everyone in the restaurant was in shock. The waitress stood off to the side until the manager picked him up with 2 plates and dumped him in a bag. As unappetizing as it was, Norman said she isn't mad, and the manager comped her and fellow diners' meals, as they should. And it isn't the manager's fault, because from what I understand, it's an issue there. There's rats everywhere. But she isn't sure she'll be paying a visit to the restaurant again. I'm not sure. I'm not going to be able to go back. Norman says that the manager claimed the recent construction was to blame for the unexpected rodent. Yeah, not too appetizing. I think I'll pass. All right, now let's go back and see what else we absolutely positively have to get to. And it's this. We definitely have to get to this. This by John Savage. FBI busted on 8chan. They were trying to entrap Anons to justify shutting it down. This was done during the New Zealand false flag entrapment. Now, this is from an Anon here that he is quoting. This is on Twitter, so people need to get onto this before Twitter shuts it down. It took me a while to figure out what was going on with this, so I will say it clearly so people won't have to take a long time to figure it out. Remember the synagogue shooting in New Zealand? As it turns out, the FBI was on 8chan trying to entrap people and was posting their own stuff to 8chan to prove 8chan was violent and needed to be shut down and have their servers seized, and they proceeded with an affidavit and a lawsuit to accomplish that. Problem: 8chan puts you and your identifying number right into the script above whatever is posted, and that only shows for whoever posted it. And that you was there for every post the FBI itself made to prove 8chan was a platform for plotting violence, and they were too stupid to redact the you, which proves they themselves posted it. It gets better. Unbelievable. These people aren't really smart. They're not. You know when Q says these people are stupid? Well, I'm just gonna say to you, these people are stupid. Okay, and this is further to that, so let's get to this. Da-dum-dum. This is from Neon Revolt. Deep State, hang on here. Deep State attack on 8chan. FBI special agent caught manipulating the boards. Hashtag QAnon, Great Awakening, Neon Revolt. The FBI recently issued a warrant in April regarding the thread John Ernest made on Infinity Poll before shooting up the Chabad in Poway, where 1 woman would die as a result and 3 were injured, including the rabbi serving that day. The legacy media immediately attempted to tie the shooting back to the, at the time, recent Christchurch shooting, where the shooter reported on 8chan, and the earlier Tree of Life synagogue shooting, where the shooter posted on Gab. Now, you can see what they're doing here. They're trying to get the channels that have free speech shut down. Because Gab is free speech, and certainly 8chan is definitely free speech. And the conventional narrative being pushed was that 8chan was a threat, that memes were being weaponized in real life, and these dangerous sites which allow unfettered free speech needed to be policed and shut down. And while these terrible tragedies are horrible, the ultimate target of these shootings has always been these sites in order to shut down any talk of QAnon, of course. In other words, these false flags were committed in order to break Q's comms and muzzle the good Anons fighting for freedom every day. Every attack thus far has failed, thank God, but the scorched earth tactics show the lengths the deep state is willing to go in order to try and shut down all things Q related. When the moderators were made aware of the thread, they immediately took it down. As a result, the post was only up for 9 minutes total, and I can personally attest to the fact that no archives were made of this posting, which has a side effect of making it very difficult to find out what was said that day, apart from a scattered handful of screenshots floating around Twitter and social media. The Poway shooter's post on 8chan was taken down. Okay, that's what we just read, really. The full 37-page unsealed affidavit filed by one FBI Special Agent Michael J. Rodd can be read here and is concerning for a number of reasons. We're not going to read that, but we are going to let him summarize it for us. Most tellingly are these lines where Special Agent J. Rodd requests the keys to the kingdom. He wants everything on every user who ever so much as commented on the thread, even if they committed no crimes themselves. Yeah, that is suspicious. Very suspicious. What this means is that the FBI could potentially find other comments from these users on other boards. And the thing you have to understand about this is that Poll gets threads like this from time to time. More often than not, they're not serious. It's just someone being edgy. The problem is that every so often, one is real. Mods generally delete these threads, but in the meantime, Anons just don't know if the threat contained within is credible or not. So say somebody posted a Pepe meme, and in the thread in response to John Ernest, the FBI is now requesting info on that user and will probably be able to figure out where else he posted on the site, which means potentially someone posted on /poll and say /Q research. See the attack vector? Yes, I think we do. This would be like someone on Facebook saying they're going to rob a store. Maybe you post something silly because you don't believe they're going to do it, and then you turn on the TV to suddenly see them on the news running down the street, bags of cash in hand, being pursued by the cops. Then you get a ring at your doorbell, and suddenly your home is getting searched by the police because you dared to comment on that Facebook post even though you didn't do anything wrong. It's ridiculous and sets a very dangerous precedent. The affidavit goes on to say that, yes, the FBI can identify people even though posting on the boards is ostensibly anonymous. Honestly, with this information in hand, I would recommend getting a VPN going if you plan on posting on the chans now, ever. Why? Because if someone else does something wrong, the precedent is they can now go after you too. And not just any VPN will do. You need a no-log VPN, because if the FBI traces back your activity to your VPN, they can request logs from them. But if your VPN doesn't keep logs, the VPN company just kind of shrugs and goes, sorry, M8, can't help you. And getting a VPN up and running these days is super simple. Honestly, I would recommend NordVPN, but in case you want to check out alternatives, make sure you look at the feature set of the different VPN vendors here. And that is something that I may talk about more, is getting, okay, there's the tail. Of course, every single episode has to have a tail in it somewhere. So anyway, yeah, I may talk a little bit more about VPNs for those people that don't know, just to protect yourself online, because we are treading on very dangerous ground now, and you don't want somebody to be able to come and trace activity to you. And of course, you haven't done anything wrong and don't ever plan to do anything wrong, but because you've commented on, somebody, stupid, just a stupid comment somewhere on Facebook, on 8chan, on anywhere. Yeah, it's just not pretty anymore out there at all. And it seems to be getting worse, not better. Now, I'm hoping that this turns around. I am very hopeful, but on the other hand, I don't know. We'll see. Now, just to cheer you up now, I have to show you this. Trump saw his shadow in Florida, which means 6 more years as president. I'm okay with that. Are you? I think I am. Anyway, I haven't seen anything that I would vehemently disagree with yet. I don't absolutely agree with absolutely everything, but then, if I agreed with absolutely everything that Donald Trump agreed with, one of us wouldn't be necessary, and I have a feeling it would be me. So there you go. And one last thing, I probably should left that for the very last because it's cute. But here, this is from Wyatt. A Nexium doctor allegedly ran sick human experiments for the well-connected cult. And I'm getting more information about this actually tonight. I didn't want to really bring it to you because I had a lot of other things that I needed to get to you, but I am looking into it and will really consider about bringing it to you. It's pretty graphic, so it wouldn't be, I don't know, would probably have to talk in code. A Nexium doctor allegedly ran sick human experiments for the well-connected cult, made patients watch SNUFF films, a man getting butchered, a conscious man eating half his BRAIN, a brutal gang, RAPE, of a female, and much more. Hollywood and DC connections. But we're the Nazis? Yeah, in their world we are. So that's it. And for tonight, and I'll bring that one that I skipped to you tomorrow, and I will be back like a bad smell. One of those things you just can't get rid of. I just keep coming back. So that's it for tonight. I hope you guys are well. I do apologize for being later than I intended to be tonight, but I figured that you would forgive me rather than have me not post at all. So I went ahead and did the post even though I'm late, and tomorrow I will work hard at moving it back significantly, and next week it is my intention to keep moving it back a bit until I get to a reasonable time for my posts. That way, if something comes up afterwards, it's already done and it doesn't affect me getting this out. So you guys have a great night. Thank you guys for your comments, and for new subscribers, we're getting actually quite a bit of new subscribers, which is great. Welcome. You guys are always welcome, and please leave comments. Let us know if you're new and where you're from, because it's just fun to see where everybody's from. And we've got a great group here, so don't ever feel afraid to comment. I don't ever see people being rude to each other. Those people have been weeded out long ago, and the people that we have are just top shelf people. So really, feel free to leave any comments, and you don't have to agree with me either. I'm not going to erase your comment if you don't agree with me. Sometimes it's good for us to have a differing of opinions, and some people will say, no, I don't agree with that, and bring me additional information, which at times I change my mind, and I think, well, you know what? I was probably wrong about that. So anyway, we're all learning together, and we can do it together, and we can have fun, and we can look at the news and still, smile, because it is what it is, and we can only do what we can do. But we are the news now. We are the eyes and ears to inform the rest of our Patriot brothers and sisters. So if you see something, say something. All right. Have a good night, sleep well, stay safe, and I will talk to you tomorrow, and keep seeking truth because, well, you know it just as well as I do. Deception bites. Good night.